Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. I want Americans to take an objective look and make an comparison between the American government approach to different international situations that are going on. Because you look at these things, and they're completely different. The approach is completely different. So I was bringing up the map here. So one of these we're going to look at here is, of course, Taiwan. But we're also going to look at Hong Kong. Look at what happened with the riots in Hong Kong, and on which side was the American government. That obviously with Hong Kong. There was talk about sending U.S. weapons to Hong Kong. Yes, our government wanted to send U.S. weapons and U.S. troops to Hong Kong. All right, so we've already got U.S. weapons and troops in Taiwan. There was no invasion by Chinese forces into Hong Kong. They pulled up to the border, right along the border of Hong Kong, just in case the military intervention was necessary, but they never crossed that line. Taiwan, China is not talking about invading Taiwan. How do you invade your own country? In each case here, internationally, in each case, Hong Kong and Taiwan have got a lot of autonomy, which is not being taken away by the Chinese government. They're not doing it. There has been no blockade of trade or limitation of trade between Hong Kong or Taiwan and the rest of the world. It hasn't happened. And there's no discussion by China of that happening. How would you feel if, California or Texas or Florida wanted to secede, and the U.S. government said no, and a foreign government, China, Russia, whoever, started sending troops and military equipment to support that secession? How do you think that would go over? The United States government is talking about Taiwan having an independent seat at the UN. But this is not being supported by most of the UN. Two systems, one government. There is no discussion. I mean, but basically the only country that is supporting this idea is the U.S. Anyway, so what do you think the goal is here? Let's zoom out a little bit. All right, so here's Hong Kong, here's Taiwan, here's Japan, up here in the top right, here's South Korea. What do you think the goal is here? We've already got nuclear weapons and troops and military equipment in Japan and South Korea, right here by China. What do you think the goal is here with Hong Kong and Taiwan? Let's go up here a little bit further. There's Mongolia. Guess who else is right up here? Right here. Russia. Yeah. So the goal here is nuclear weapons and U.S. troops in Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, right at the door to China and Russia. You can go over here over this way. You got Pakistan, India, and yep, here's Iran. Yep, so Saudi Arabia, Turkey, all on this side of Russia and China. Let's take another look at something else. Luhansk, the Donbass region, which is the Luhansk and Donetsk region. Here's Donetsk, here's Luhansk. Considered part of Ukraine. The Donbass region, why we're supporting China, Taiwanese and Hong Kong separatism from China. Donetsk and Luhansk want their own autonomy from Ukraine. And they have wanted that ever since the U.S. backed overthrow of the Ukrainian government by far right-wing Nazi, not neo-Nazi, Nazi government of the democratically elected president, the administration of Ukraine. What was that, 2014, I think? That was at the same time that, guess what? Crimea voted in popular referendum to separate from Ukraine and become part of Russia again. So all these parts of Ukraine decided they wanted to separate from Ukraine at that time. So what do you think the goal is here? We've already got U.S. troops and equipment, and we're selling weapons to Ukraine. And we've got U.S. ships in the Black Sea. Look at this. The Black Sea is basically landlocked. So why do we have all this? What is our interest in the Black Sea? It doesn't have anything to do with trade. Ukraine doesn't have anything to trade. Their economy collapsed after they separated. They voted to separate, and they separated themselves from Russia. And yet we've got U.S. ships here being aggressive toward Russia in the Black Sea. I mean, look how much effort it takes to even get there. They have to go through these narrow freaking straits. Look how dangerous that is to even get there. How narrow is that? All right. So, meanwhile, we've got, hold on. I'll pause this for a second. So, meanwhile, we've got Puerto Rico that wants autonomy, either autonomy or to be recognized completely as a U.S. state. And we're refusing that. If one of the states I mentioned, California, Texas, Alabama, Florida, what do you think the response would be if one of these states wanted to secede from the United States? We would actually, the government would actually conduct a military invasion of these states. Puerto Rico, which is you know, a U.S. territory is not being allowed to secede or to be voted in as a U.S. state. Washington, D.C. There is opposition to Washington, D.C. being recognized as a state. It's the freaking capital of the United States and is not recognized as a state. Can you name any other country on earth in which the capital is not allowed voting rights as a state or region or what have you? Can you name anything like that? Now, one of the things you got to really love are the right-wingers. America, love it or leave it. So you have a U.S. state like California say, okay, let's do that. Oh, no, you can't do that. No. So how is it that we support, on one hand, Taiwan, the idea of Taiwan separating from China, or Hong Kong separating from China? Meanwhile, Donbass wants autonomy. They want to separate from Ukraine. We opposed Crimea separating from Ukraine. We oppose Puerto Rico separating from the United States. How does this all fit? If this is a popular and democratic, if this is supposed to be democratic, Ukraine is using weapons and attacking, killing the people in the Donbass. They're killing people. Is China attacking and killing people in Hong Kong or Taiwan? No. Donbass, they're not allowed to trade. How about Palestine? Israel is killing people in Palestine. Do we support Palestine separating and being recognized as a state? Do you know there are only 2 countries in the UN that oppose Palestine being recognized as a state? That is the U.S. and Israel. So why aren't we on the side of the Palestinian people being allowed to vote to separate and secede from Israel? How do people even reconcile all of this? I don't understand how they reconcile this in their head. You talk about democracy, okay, let's go with democracy. Or you want to go with, fine, put it up to a referendum in China. Should Taiwan be allowed to vote to secede? Because that's how we support the Donbass remaining part of Ukraine. They put it up to a vote for all of Ukraine. And it was voted down. Okay, so let's put it up to a vote for all of China. Should Taiwan be, or Hong Kong be allowed to secede? If you're talking about democracy for a region, that region should be able to vote independently. Okay, fine. This is a matter of diplomacy. There should be no weapons. There should be no U.S. troops. There should be no intervention by the United States government. None at all. Compare these things. When people are discussing these things, throw these comparisons at them. Throw it right in their face. Don't hesitate. Don't hold back. Throw it at them. Because you can't have one standard for one country and another standard for another country and another standard for another country. No, it doesn't work that way. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. Think about these things. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.